Hello, I'm Dr. Peter Kuchera from the Amerasian Research Network in New York, and I'm speaking today in conjunction also with our Philippine research affiliate, the Filipino Amerasian Research Center at Systems Plus College Foundation in Angeles City and Pampanga, Luzon, the Philippines. We've made a lot of progress in the last year and a half towards addressing the many serious social issues that are faced by Filipino Amerasians and also Pan-Amerasian populations in other parts of East and Southeast Asia. It's been a very active period of time. We've been faced with a situation where we must create a research literature for a stressed population that really does not exist. There has been very little study to date on Filipino Amerasians. But we're working very hard to change that, and we're very optimistic here, both in the Philippines and in the United States, that we can bring academic attention and the attention of some of the great research foundations in Asia and in the United States to this population. One of the ways we're going directly to solve the problem is to present empirical-based research papers at major academic conferences in Asia and in the United States. We've been in Manila. We presented in Phnom Penh in Cambodia, in Bangkok, Thailand, in Sydney, Australia, at Michigan State University in the United States, at the Pursuit of Justice conference that was held in April of 2013 at Gonzaga University in Washington State on the U.S. West Coast. And now we're moving on, present at the ICEASS conference in Singapore and the conference of the New Zealand Society of Asian Studies at the University of Auckland. And on in 2014 to the University of British Columbia, Auckland, for the ICISS conference, which is the conference on interdisciplinary social sciences. We've got to get the word out. This is one of the quickest ways to do it. I'm very pleased to tell you that a number of important research journals have picked up on our research papers and are publishing them, and we expect that number to increase dramatically in the next year. One of the really significant findings that we did present was at the 9th International Conference on the Philippines at Michigan State in 2012. Dr. Marie Caputi from Walden University and myself, on behalf of the PARC at System Plus College Foundation, presented a paper making a very strong case, we believe, that the Amerasian population is so large in the Philippines that it qualifies to be a traditional diaspora. This is a very, very significant finding. Our preliminary studies and analyses at this point made an estimate in that paper that there are anywhere from probably 200,000 to 250,000 Amerasians, Filipino Amerasians, scattered throughout the Philippine archipelago. This includes first generation, second generation Amerasians of all ages, from infants to geriatrics and the elderly. This figure obviously contests the standard estimate that was so widely circulated in 1992 when the bases left the Philippines, that the total number of Amerasians left behind were about 50,000 children. That figure was very misleading. It was not scientifically based. There had never been a serious census done, either at that time or for many years in the Philippines, about the size of the Amerasian diaspora. One of our goals in the coming year is to put together a very strong application for a serious census, a serious study to be made of the demographics of the Filipino Amerasian diaspora in the Philippines. We believe if we can obtain the proper funding, the figures that will result will probably astound many, many observers and many, many academians. Why? Because the feeling is that the 50,000 figure in 1992 was one based on a scientific fact, but it wasn't. We want to thank Mr. Jarius Bondak of the Philippine Star newspaper, who did a very, very interesting column in December of 2012 on our Michigan State study. We have not and do not seek a lot of press and media coverage at this point. We need to do some more work on the academic part of this. We want to make sure that our research is absolutely sound and that it qualifies for peer review and that it is in fact authentic. I want to make one point clear. We have been criticized a bit at PARC and at the Amerasian Research Network in the United States because there's a feeling that we are solely in business to portray Amerasians in a negative light, to present a picture of all Amerasians as being an at-risk population, having many, many social and socioeconomic problems and mental health issues. That, of course, is not the case. There are many Amerasians from the Philippines and other parts of Asia and Southeast Asia who have done extraordinarily well, especially those in the countries where the income levels are significantly higher than they are in the Philippines, where they remain below world standards. Very high poverty level in the Philippines as opposed to South Korea and Japan, for instance, where there are many populations, but the economic boat has risen in those countries, and a lot of our Amerasian people, thankfully, are doing very well there. And there, of course, are many success stories of Amerasians who have been able to succeed and move to the United States, where they've made life for themselves. Certainly, the Vietnamese Amerasian experience, where the U.S. government sponsored their citizenship or permanent residency, is a case in point. But the fact of the matter is that largely in the Philippines, because of the realistically poor economic conditions, there are many, many Amerasians, particularly the blacks and Africans, but also Anglos, Native American, and Hispanic Amerasians who are doing quite poorly. They're living in poverty, they have some mental health issues and other aspects of at-risk characteristics, and this is what we are deeply concerned about. We are very optimistic at the Filipino Amerasian Research Center at Systems Plus College in the Philippines and at the Amerasian Research Network Limited in Albany, New York, that we are on the verge of achieving some significant grant and educational stipend funds to sponsor and to support the research that we have outlined in the many papers that we have presented and continue to present at international conferences around the world. We have created a research literature and a basis for a number of important grant applications. This money and these funds are needed in order to provide the adequate attention and the adequate amount of empirical research that is needed to verify and confirm these problems, which have been ignored in and within the Amerasian Filipino diaspora. A few examples. We need to have a significant grant that will do a evidence-based analysis of the demographics of the Filipino Amerasian diaspora throughout the archipelago. Secondly, we need to have a grant that looks at a larger sample within the AMO triangle. That's the Angeles, Metro Manila, Olongapo triangle, and studies particularly the subjects of psychosocial risk, of stigmatization and discrimination, and possible mental health that this group has experienced. We confirmed this originally in our dissertation. We need to have a larger sample to do a more thorough study. Another very important subject is the issue of second-generation discrimination and stigmatization within so-called second-generation Amerasians. We believe there is a substantial number of second-generation Amerasians, particularly blacks, who may have experienced the same stigma and the same victimization as their parents did as first generation. We need to have a study to look at the Anglo-Amerasian paradox, which we presented at the online conference on interdisciplinary multiple social sciences in Australia, and which later became a journal article in that country, of the unique situation for Anglo-Amerasian females and possibly males, those that have Caucasian features, and because of their looks and because of their physical appearances and demeanors, they have, it appears, to have done better economically than their other Amerasian peers in the Philippines. It's a fascinating phenomenon. It's deserving of more study. And finally, I want to just address the myth that we think exists. The stereotype in the Philippines that the majority of mothers of Amerasians were engaged either as prostituted women or as sex laborers around the so-called military prostitution system that existed when the bases were here. This is one of the largest and most significant sources of stigmatization against Amerasians in the Philippines and in other parts of Asia. But again, it's a stereotype that has never been empirically studied. It has never been looked at from a significant research standpoint, because the fact of the matter is that many of the relationships that did bear Amerasian children between military personnel and contractors and Filipina national women were in fact real, what we call man to woman, boy girl types of normal relationships. But the stigmatization of this prostitution issue has had devastating impact on Amerasian children. It needs to be studied. It never has been. It's never been proven. We need to do it. We're hopeful that we will get the kind of education grant award to take a serious look at that entire issue and get to the bottom and get to the truth. All of what we've discussed today you can find on our website, www.amerasianresearch.org. We post all the papers that we work on and present at the conferences and any journal articles. Please consult the website on a regular basis. We try to put out about a dozen press releases a year to keep everyone informed on what we're doing. Thank you so much for your attention. I want to pay special thanks to all our friends at the Park System Plus College Foundation who have been so helpful. Salamat.